Hold on a second. That's better. Couldn't see you guys. All right, I'm excited. So here's what we're going to do today. I have incredible content for you that I've been working on for the last couple hours, believe it or not. Well, I don't know about that. Believe it. From 12-week year and the Traveler's Gift. And believe it or not, there's where that comes from. These tie in together. It's the same message from two different books. And I love when that happens. So for those of you who are following along at home, I am going to talk to you today from 2 pages. That's it. Page 57 and 58 in the 12-week year. And here's the message, guys. And I promised yesterday that we were going to share a story around the butterfly effect if we had time. And I've made sure that we have time for it today. So I love stories, right? When I was younger and I was in school, I didn't necessarily love history. I don't know how many of you felt the same way. However, if they would have, instead of calling it history, I love history today. And here's why. If they would have called history years ago when I was in school, really cool stories, I would have loved the class. And that's what history is. It's just a series of really cool stories. And that's why I love history today. All right, so performing in the moment. When does a champion become great? And you guys know I love questions, and I'm encouraging you to take notes. Please write that down because it's something I want you to think about. When does a champion become great? The obvious answer, according to the author, seems to be when the individual achieves a high level of performance, such as winning a gold medal. But as I considered my own question further, now this is the author talking to us, I came to the conclusion that greatness is not achieved when the result is reached, but rather long before that. When an individual chooses to do the things that he or she knows they need to do. So here's a question I have for you. What are the things, quote marks, right? What are the things that make you great in your real estate business? Now, don't answer that question out loud. Write it down. We'll get to that. Make a list. What are the things that make you great in your real estate business? I'll give you a hint. It's 20%. How's that? Now I gave you the answer. By the way, big part of that 20%, and I was on James Shaw's call this morning, a big part of that 20% is making sure that you block time every single day to practice and role play your scripts in order to internalize the conversations of real estate. For those of you who were on the call, one of the comments that somebody made was, I hate scripts. Now, maybe I'm just becoming more direct. Maybe I'm not trying to be your friend anymore, so I'm just going to be honest. I hate scripts is a script. It's just a script of mediocre real estate agents. Now, if that offends anybody, too bad. Let's see who dropped off. Nobody. Cool. The athlete becomes great not when she breaks a world record and wins a medal. That's when the world recognizes her. But in reality, the event is just the evidence of her greatness. The athlete achieved greatness months, perhaps even years earlier when she decided to run the extra mile, make the extra call, schedule an extra appointment. When she decided to run the extra mile, swim the extra lap, or perform just one jump more. Question to you, how does that apply to your business? So I'm on page 58. Results are not the attainment of greatness, but simply confirmation of it. You become great before the results show it. It happens in an instant. The moment you choose to do the things you need to do in order to be great. So here's my questions for you. Are you great right now based on your results? Now, the definition of great is relative. If you did $10 million in sales last year and you're doing $10 million in sales this year, and by the way, that's your goal, that's all you ever want to do, then I would say you're great. Absolutely, you're great. Say that again.
Can you say that last thing you said again from page 58? Because I think it was really important and I want to make sure I write that down.
You become great long before the results show it. It happens in an instant. The moment you choose to do the things you need to do in order to be great. So are you great? Now remember, great is relative. So back to the example that I used just a moment ago, if you're doing $10 million in sales currently and you did $10 million in sales a year ago, and that's your goal, that's what you want to do, then absolutely you're great. However, if your goal is to do $20 million in sales and you're at $10 million in sales, are you great? It's just a question. Now, based on the author's definition of when we become great, are you great? Greatness has nothing to do with the results. It has everything to do with the activities. Do you see the common thread that we've been focusing on for the last 2 weeks? Greatness has everything to do with the activities. Greatness is a choice to do the activities, a commitment to the activities. Sean was sharing, and if he's on the call, he'd jump in here and talk to me. Sean was sharing a couple days ago that he had made the decision to let go of the rope and to become a full-time real estate agent. That is a choice in the moment in which he becomes great. And he has nothing to do with the results. Nothing. What I find profound, now I'm back to the author, is that the difference between greatness and mediocrity on a daily and weekly basis is slim. Yet the difference in results down the road is tremendous. The difference between greatness and mediocrity for a salesperson is 2 or 3 extra appointments. This guy's been on our call. Holy cow, he got it. He nailed it. The difference between greatness and mediocrity for a salesperson is 2 or 3 more extra appointments a week, 5 or 10 more calls a day, 3 hours out of a 45-hour work week spent working on their business. This is interesting for me. For a manager or a leader, it's recognizing the good work of one person each day, delegating a task instead of doing it themselves, spending 3 hours of their week on strategic priorities, giving verbal praise and encouragement to someone who's struggling, and on and on. The question I ask myself is, am I a great leader? I don't know. Honestly, I don't. Each and every one of us has the God-given ability to be great. What makes a champion is the discipline to do the extra things, even when, especially when you don't feel like it. So I thought, what does Andy Andrews has to say on this subject? And I found the decision The third decision for success, I am a person of action. Page 69, if you're in this book. Beginning today, I will create a new future by creating a new me. No longer will I dwell in a pit of despair, moaning over squandered time and lost opportunity. I could do nothing about the past. My future is immediate. When I am faced with the choice of doing nothing or doing something, I will always choose to act. Nothing leads to mediocrity. That's my words, guys. The real estate industry is making massive changes. I've been in this industry for 20 years, and I've never seen this industry be as disruptive as it currently is. I'm on page 69 of The Traveler's Gift. If you guys want to, I see people asking. There's no chapters in that book. I've never seen this industry as disruptive as it is. Now listen to this quote again. When I am faced with the choice of doing nothing or doing something, I will always choose to act. Now, based on what I just said a few moments ago, doing nothing leads to mediocrity. And as you're going to hear in just a few minutes when I tell you a story about Joshua Chamberlain, doing nothing can lead to failure. The status quo is not a good thing. I will walk with a spring in my step and a smile on my face. Leading is doing. To lead, I must move forward. Many people move out of the way for a person on the run. Others are caught up in their wake. My activity will create a wave of success for the people who follow. As a leader, I have the ability to encourage and inspire others to greatness. It is true, an army of sheep led by a lion will defeat an army of lions led by a sheep. I am not a sheep. Now, I'm not sure if I'm a great leader, but I am 100% positive that I am not a sheep. A person who moves neither left nor right is destined for mediocrity. I am not a quivering dog, indecisive and fearful. Successful people make their decisions quickly, and they change their minds slowly. I am a person of action. I am daring. I am courageous. I do not fear opinion. If you were in my team meeting yesterday, this is what I was saying. I don't really care anymore. I don't. If you don't like me, tough. If you disagree with me, tough. But I know where I'm going. If you want to go with me, awesome. If you don't, if you think I'm wrong, I'm good with that. However, I do not care what you think or say. Because I do not fear opinion. I don't fear gossip or the idle chatter of monkeys, for all are the same to me. I do not fear failure, for in my life, failure is a myth. Failure exists only for the person who quits, and I don't quit. By the way, there's more than one way to quit. To do nothing is to quit. When faced with adversity, when faced with a choice to make an action, running the other way is quitting. Standing right where you are is quitting. The status quo is quitting. So the butterfly effect. I'm going to tell you a story. This is one of my favorite stories. There comes a time in everyone's life when a decision is required. Are you there? Are you at that crossroads today? It's a question that I ask myself. Remember, half the time on this call, I'm talking to myself. You guys are just here listening. There comes a time in every person's life. There comes a time in my life when a decision is required. And that decision, should you make it, will have far-reaching effect on generations yet unborn. It's the butterfly effect. I don't take this lightly. I promise you I don't, for I know that every decision I make will affect everybody that I'm in business with. It'll affect their family. It'll affect their children. It'll affect the children of their children and the children of their children's children. There's a thin thread that weaves only from you to hundreds of thousands of lives. Your example, your actions, and yes, even one decision can literally change the world. And you're thinking, John, seriously, really? One decision? Cool. I hope you're thinking that, because I'm going to prove it. The story I'm going to tell you, though it happened more than a century earlier, is absolutely accurate in every single detail. July 2nd, 1863. It was a hot, humid day, and a school teacher from Maine was in the fight of his life. His name was Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, formerly a professor of rhetoric from Bowdoin College, presently a 34-year-old colonel in the Union Army. The place, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. After 5 bloody attacks from the rebels, Chamberlain realized his troops would not be able to hold them off any longer. More than half his regiment was dead, and many of the remaining soldiers were wounded. He was outnumbered by better than 5 to 1. Glancing downhill and seeing the attackers readying themselves for a final assault, looking at what seemed to be a certain defeat, certain death, adversity, Chamberlain's own officers counseled retreat. They outnumber us, the men cried, and we have nothing with which to fight. It is hopeless. It is hopeless. Are you in a situation that's hopeless? Am I? Joshua Chamberlain stood quietly for a moment. Here they come, sir, a sergeant said urgently. Chamberlain didn't respond. He was calculating the cost of freezing, remaining, staying where he was. The cost, he determined, was essentially the same as running away. Chamberlain knew he had not been put on this earth to fail. But failure is the only possible result of a life that accepts the status quo. We move forward or we die. Fix bayonets. Fix bayonets, he barked, and his men looked at him as if he were crazy. Excuse me? The sergeant asked, and for a moment they all just stood there and stared. They're coming, came a yell from down the line. Fix bayonets, I said. Fix bayonets, he yelled, and charge. And his men scrambled to fasten their steels. Chamberlain drew his sword and jumped to the top of the wall. Guys, if you got noise going on, please mute. All right. I'm going to mute everybody because I don't want you to lose this. All right, I think we're okay. He jumped to the top of the wall. With the enemy now a little more than 50 yards away, he pointed his sword at them and screamed, "Charge! Charge!" And the fighting men of the 20th Maine Regiment, the pride of the Army of the Potomac, poured over the wall and followed a school teacher into history. The Confederate troops, upon seeing the leader of the opposition, this is 100% totally true, Google it. The Confederate troops, upon seeing the leader of the opposition mount the wall, immediately stopped, unsure as to what was happening. But when Chamberlain pointed his sword toward them and commanded his men to charge, they literally turned and ran. In their minds, it was not even within the realm of possibility that a beaten regiment would charge. In less than 10 minutes, the Radgod group of men from under Chamberlain's command, without any ammunition at all at this point, captured the entire regiments of the 15th Alabama and the 47th Alabama, more than 400 men. Of course, it all happened because one man made a decision to charge. One man made one decision that changed the world. And you're still asking yourself, John, seriously, how did that change the world? Sure, they won the battle. And how did that change the world? Hang in there, I'm going to tell you. And one decision you make can literally change the world. Right? Now, okay, that was a great story, but you're telling me I can change the world? Seriously, John, come on. You say, hey, even Joshua Chamberlain changed the outcome of only one small part of one battle. Yeah? Oh, really? Consider this. It is an accepted fact that at the time of the Battle of Gettysburg, the North, the Union, was losing badly. Had the South been victorious at Gettysburg, historians agree that the entire conflict had been over by the end of the summer. The Confederate States of America were one victory away from winning the war, but they didn't win. This one man turned the tide of the battle. Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain turned the tide of the war. Do you understand what this means? If the South had won the war, there would be no America as we know it now. But because one ordinary man made a decision to move forward, this is a very different world we live in today. When Hitler swept across Europe, when Hiroshima systematically invaded the islands of the Pacific, when Saddam Hussein rolled his armies into Kuwait, there existed a United States of America to stand in the breach. Because one man made a decision to charge. So ladies and gentlemen, the world as it exists today is largely the result of a decision to charge. One decision made by a school teacher more than 100 years ago. Don't ever think that you can't change things. You can. One decision you make today can change the world. Talk to me.
Where'd he go?
He's back.
He's back.
He left us.
No, he didn't leave you.
Obviously, he dropped the mic and walked away.
He abandoned us.
What is
He dropped the
He
mic.
dropped the mic.
That was not me. And as I froze again, I hope this doesn't happen again. Yeah, I'm in. Talk to me, guys. This is fascinating.
There's one thing I was going to do that was going to make it all happen. I had to conquer my morning. You know, I had to get up at 5 and I had to get up and I had to exercise. And I don't know, I'd always struggled trying to figure out how to do that in my life. You know, even though I'd been successful in other things, I knew I couldn't get anywhere without doing it. And sometime during the pandemic, I finally backed myself into a corner and I took myself by the scruff of the neck and I said, look, you SOB, you're going to do this. And, you know, when John talked about earlier in the call, you know, that one moment of greatness, I mean, I feel like everything that's happened since and everything that's going to happen into the future, it was that one decision, was to conquer my morning. You know, it was to take control of the first step of my day every day and repeat that process. And so, you know, that was my aha. That was that sometimes it's a small decision executed every day that really makes the difference.
Which is a powerful and big one, actually, even though it seems small, it's really a big decision.
Yeah.
Awesome, Sean. I see that
Yeah.
John's back on. I have to go to a meeting. Thanks, John. I appreciate you. Welcome back.
Internet challenges this morning, guys.
Awesome. Have a
So
good day.
Victoria, I appreciate you. I do. And I missed the opportunity to have a conversation with all of you. I appreciate all of you hanging in there, even though my signal dropped and I was gone for a few moments. Thank you for doing that. And I'll hang in here with you and talk to you if there's anything that you want to share with me before we sign off. I'm here.
John, there was so much that I think everybody took from this conversation. I think about Lisa being a new agent. You're right. You just continue doing the activities. The greatness is in the activity. You think about athletes and why they practice so that when it's game time, they can perform at their best level. So keep working, keep doing, keep generating leads, keep banging the phones, keep knocking doors, keep speaking to people. Sean Cook, I'm really proud of you. I really, really am. Because we've talked about stop thinking and just start doing. And I'm glad that you're being a person of action, man. Congratulations on controlling it. It's a big deal.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Good stuff. Really good stuff.
Mhm.
Who's next, guys? Lisa, to answer your question, I am putting the link to my Facebook page in the chat. Please follow me on Facebook. All of these recordings are on my Facebook page. They're also on my YouTube page.
Great, thank you.
Pleasure.
John, it's
All right.
one decision, right? That can affect not just your life, but so many others around you. And I think about it, biblically, right? God teaches us to be courageous,
Yeah.
that we're more than conquerors. So awesome, awesome message, John.
Thank you. And for those of you who have known me for a long time, you know that I'm going to share my heart, that I'm going to be vulnerable, that you're going to know exactly who I am, where I am, how I feel. And as a leader, that's who I am. Now, I could be a leader and be emotional. Even lions have breakdowns. And what you heard today in this message is I am standing on that wall, making the decision to charge or to stay right where I am, or to turn around and run away. It's a painful decision because I know that the choice that I make does not just impact my life, but it impacts the lives of the 300 plus associates that are a part of my company, their children, their children's children, generations yet unborn. It is not a decision that I take lightly. Yeah, Michael, charge. By the way, what does that look like for me, for you? Now, I'll close with this because Sean's a good example. Sean made a decision to charge the moment he let go of that rope, walked away from corporate America to become a full-time real estate agent. That was a decision to charge. Won't be your last opportunity to make that decision, Sean, I promise you. There will be many times in your life when you will be faced with the same decision. I have. The day I decided to walk away from becoming a full-time real estate agent and to close my real estate business that was doing $30 million a year, my gross income, my last year as a full-time real estate agent was $900,000. And I made the decision to walk away from that, to become a team leader, to make a fraction of the money that I was making as a real estate agent was a decision to charge. That one was the right decision.
Yes, because we need you so much.
I appreciate that, Camille. I really do. And I don't take that lightly. It's a huge responsibility. All right, it's time to get to work. What's work? Work is 20 conversations, not 19, it's not 18, it's not 17, because if you have 17 conversations, the 18th could have been $1 million listing you didn't get, and you don't even know it because you didn't make the call because you settled for 17 because 17 is close enough. Or you thought, I'll make it up tomorrow, and we all know that's not true. You won't. It's 20 conversations. We make care calls, not sale calls. Always lead with gratitude. Always bring value to every single conversation. Focus on getting an appointment, getting a referral, adding somebody to your database every single day. It's a standard. It's not a goal. Get face-to-face with someone today who's thinking of buying a home or selling a home, whether it's 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, doesn't matter, because there are no such things as bad leads. That means you're going to be face-to-face with 250 people over the next 50 weeks, 5 days a week. You're going to be face to face with 250 people over the next 50 weeks. That's 250 people that live in your pipeline that you are going to follow up with forever in order to create emotional proximity, because you reject rejection and because no is not a word that lives in your vocabulary. No simply means not yet. People will not change their mind. What they will do is make a new decision based on new information. And by staying in touch with them and following up forever and rejecting rejection, you are giving them an opportunity to discover new information so they can make the right decision and hire you. And yes, every single word of that was a script. I love scripts. Make it a great day, everybody.
Thank you, John.
My pleasure.
Thank you, John. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one. Thank you.